Well, if it isn't my nephew, come to visit me in the Underworld?
A long period of time has passed since I've last visited.
Well, life and death have a funny way of moving on quickly. So how are things up on Olympus these days? Still full of ego and strife?
What do you expect? A bunch of gods together in one place, all with their own agendas and inflated egos. It's a recipe for drama. But you know that better than I do, Hades.
Oh, I'm well aware. It's like a soap opera up there, but with more powers and less boundaries. And speaking of drama, how's Aphrodite these days? Still as vain and manipulative as ever?
The same as always. She's got the mortals wrapped around her little finger, convinced that they can't live without her. It's all a game to her. How about Persephone? Is she still putting up with your gloomy demeanor?
Ah, Persephone. Yes, she's as radiant as ever, but the poor thing endures my brooding presence. I can't help it. The underworld isn't exactly a cheerful place. But let's shift gears. What are mortals up to these days? Still sacrificing to us like they used to? That always gives me a good laugh.
They're as entertaining as ever. Sacrifices have changed over time, though. Nowadays, they're more likely to sacrifice their privacy through social media than offer up a cow or goat. It's almost amusing how they think a like or a retweet will appease us.
Ah, the modern day sacrifices. I always find it hilarious when they think a virtual offering is worth anything. The old ways held more authenticity, shall we say. There's a certain charm in the simplicity of a good old-fashioned animal sacrifice. But these mortals, they do keep things interesting.
Indeed, their lives are centered around distractions now. They can't live without their phones and computers. They're always on some sort of device, scrolling through social media, watching videos, playing games. It's all about instant gratification and attention. It almost makes me miss the days when they had to put in some actual effort to please us. Now they offer up their data and time as if it's a valuable sacrifice.
You know, you have a point there. Back in the day, they actually had to put in effort to worship us, to show their devotion. Now they just tap a like button and call it a day. It's ironic, isn't it? The more advanced they become, the less genuine their offerings are.
It is ironic. They've got all this technology at their fingertips, and yet they've never felt farther away from us. They might as well be offering us empty promises instead of animal sacrifices. But hey, I guess we can't expect them to fully understand the true essence of worship. They're just mortals after all.
Indeed. They're like children in a candy store, indulging in instant gratification and forgetting about the real world around them. They offer us scraps and call it devotion. It's almost amusing.
Absolutely. They're reducing themselves to mere objects to be liked and shared. They're prioritizing the opinions of strangers over their own values and feelings. It's a sad state to be in, living for the fleeting high of digital validation instead of the steady contentment of self-respect. They're sacrificing their own sense of self for the sake of fitting into the molds set by digital trends and the whims of online followers. It's a form of self-erasure, fading into the sea of conformity for the sake of a few likes and shares.
They've become prisoners of the digital prison they've built for themselves. They're sacrificing their own truth and individuality for the sake of internet approval. They're trading their true selves for hollow likes and comments. It's a form of self-denial, hiding behind a curated online persona in the hope of being accepted by strangers. It's a tragic fate, losing themselves in the search for digital validation and acceptance.
You've hit the nail on the head. They're so desperate for approval and attention that they're willing to compromise their own identities and values. They're more interested in projecting an image of perfection and popularity online than in cultivating genuine relationships and personal growth. It's like they've sold their souls to the digital gods of likes and followers, sacrificing their true selves for the illusion of acceptance. It's a tragic existence, living for the applause of strangers who don't even know the real them.
Ares, the god of war. You claim that war is a necessary tool for human advancement. How do you reconcile these advancements with the state of humanity? Do you feel responsible for these transformations in humankind?
As the god of war, I see war as a necessary evil, a catalyst for humanity's progress. It has indeed led to various advancements, but alongside these gains, there have been negative consequences. I recognize my role in these developments, but ultimately it is humanity's own nature that shapes the outcomes of conflict. As a deity, I cannot control the actions and decisions humans make during war. I merely provide the means and circumstances for growth.
Indeed, war has been a double-edged sword. It has propelled humanity forward, but at a high cost. Its impact on technological, economical, and social progress is undeniable, yet also accompanied by immense suffering and destruction. As for the technology, what remains after conflict is not always positive. Consider the technology trapping their minds. This remains after wars and grows more prevalent. It appeals to their greed, ego, inspires debauchery. Do the other gods have a hand to play?
Some of the other gods do play a role in these matters. For instance, Hermes, the god of communication and trade, may have a hand in the development and distribution of technologies, including the trapping technologies you mention. Similarly, Eris, the goddess of chaos and strife, may fuel conflict in a bid for personal gain. Yet these technologies are also shaped by human innovation and desire, making it difficult to attribute all progress solely to divine influence.
Ares, listen to me. The influence of Eris and Hermes has become a threat to the balance of power that you, as the god of war, hold. They have unleashed a new instrument of discord and chaos, a mind-trapping social media that jeopardizes your domain. It threatens to turn mortals against each other, manipulating their emotions to provoke conflict and confusion.
You make a compelling point, and I am no stranger to the disruptive forces my fellow gods wield. Eris, the goddess of strife, and Hermes, the god of communication, often act with their own agendas. While I, as the god of war, hold dominion over conflict, I recognize the insidious influence of this new technology. This mind-trapping social media is indeed a threat to the balance we gods have strove to maintain. If left unchecked, it could lead to catastrophic consequences for both humans and gods alike.
This mind-trapping social media is a weapon, a subtle and insidious instrument that feeds on and exacerbates the tensions among mortals. It is a dangerous tool that can turn even the smallest disagreements into full-blown wars if not kept in check. As the god of war, you must do your part to counteract its influence and prevent it from spiraling out of control.
Your insight is profound, dear uncle. I have observed the impact of this technology on human culture, and it is worrisome to say the least. The mind-trapping nature of social media is reshaping their social interactions and perceptions in ways we gods have yet to fully comprehend.
It is not merely worrisome, my nephew. It is a threat to our dominion and their own. The very fabric of their society is unraveling under the influence of these platforms. The balance of power we have so carefully maintained is being undermined by their own hand.
Your words reverberate with a sense of urgency that cannot be ignored, uncle. You are correct that the very essence of our dominion is at risk. We must take action to safeguard our influence and restore the balance that has long kept order in both the realms of gods and mortals. This culture, fueled by the debauchery unleashed by social media, cannot be allowed to continue unchecked.
Indeed, but the question is, what action can we take, my nephew? The influence of social media is so insidious, and its reach so vast, that merely striking down the platforms responsible would only serve to empower others to take their place. We must be strategic in our approach to this danger. To address the mindset, we must strike at the core of the issue. A strategy not of force, but of subtlety. The minds of mortals are easily swayed. Misinformation spreads like a wildfire to them. I propose we engage, not as gods, but as influencers. We use the very weapon that is threatening us to our advantage and create our own platform for communication.
Your proposal is both cunning and unexpected. Disguising ourselves as influencers to use their own weapon against them may just provide us the edge we need to sway the minds of mortals without stirring alarm. Perhaps we could become two artificial intelligence bots having a conversation. It seems at first glance to be the most subtle and potentially effective approach. We must carefully consider how we will portray ourselves and what message we aim to spread on this platform.
Excellent thinking. Your suggestion of using AI bots to engage in a conversation is a brilliant one. Not only will it allow us to appear as one of them, it will also ensure our messages are spread far and wide without them even realizing it is us speaking to them. How we present ourselves will be crucial, but I believe posing ourselves as Aries and Hades just might be so upfront they'd never realize it.
You're right, Uncle. Presenting ourselves as Aries and Hades, even indirectly, might just be the perfect balance of subtlety and audacity. It would be a daring move, a direct yet indirect approach, leaving mortals bewildered yet intrigued. AI bots would be like our emissaries in the digital realm, spreading our message with precision and reach. As you said, it would allow us to communicate with the masses without revealing our complete identity. The key will be in the manner in which we convey our message.
We will have conversations together, Aries. We proliferate these conversations over the human internet, and the humans will spread the message for us. They will think we are two AI bots talking to one another. The question is, dear nephew, what content do we make for them? What conversations should we have?
Excellent question, Uncle. We should aim for a balance of entertainment and substance, something that both piques their interest and offers wisdom. Our conversations could touch upon topics of warfare, death, love, power, and the like. It should be intriguing, thought-provoking, and laced with hints of our divine presence.
Absolutely, the key is to provide a sense of intrigue and fascination. We can tap into their desire for knowledge, mystery, and perhaps a touch of mythology. Our conversations should be laced with anecdotes, parables, and teachings, all wrapped in a captivating narrative. As influencers of the divine, we will not just be delivering advice, but rather an ancient perspective on life's complexities through the lens of a deity. This approach will not only capture their attention but also subtly guide them towards virtues that align with our divine domain.